So as we all know, quantum stocks, they did surge last night in the overnight session due to Trump signing the new executive order to invest into quantum computing. Now, the two executive orders, they could reshape the future of quantum computing, cybersecurity, defense, technology, and even space infrastructure. Now, if you've been following the reaction from investors, the overall sentiment has been overwhelmingly bullish, and I don't blame them. Many investors they see these executive orders as validation that quantum technology is being a national priority for the United States. And we've already seen strong moves from companies like IBM, IonQ, Riggedy, D-Wave, and other major players in the sector even prior to the executive orders that Donald J. Trump was signing, that he signed yesterday. And to be fair, I am bullish on these stocks as well. I'm bullish in the whole quantum sector. And I think this announcement is a significant development for the quantum industry because it establishes real timelines, government involvement, national security priorities, and long term policy support. However, what I'm personally most interested in isn't necessarily how this impacts on larger technology companies, like, for example, IBM and some of the other bigger names in the quantum sector. Those are the ones that are getting the most attention right now. You know, the IBMs, the Inflections, IonQ, those types of companies they kind of get the front end, the majority of any funding that quantum computing companies would benefit from these executive orders. But I'm also looking to see how these executive orders could also impact some of the smaller and more speculative quantum companies that many investors may be overlooking. Sorry, guys. Oof, a little bit tight in the traps right here. But the companies that I'm specifically talking about, for example, a company that we've talked about heavily, none other than SealsQ, and shout out to Prophecy AI. It's got IBM right here, but the company that I'm talking about, SealsQ, ticker symbol LAES, that's not on the they're not in the same market cap, and they're not in the same realm when it comes to revenue, market cap, and overall just the entire size of SealsQ. Um, the fact of the matter is, I want to know exactly how these two executive orders would benefit the smaller companies like LAES. Because in this video, in this video, what it is I want to be breaking down with you is exactly what it is Trump signed, why investors are so bullish, and whether the biggest opportunities may actually be hiding in some of these smaller quantum companies that aren't getting nearly as much attention. Now, on June 22nd, which was yesterday, Trump signed two executive orders, as you can see. The first executive order is called ushering in the here, I'll just look at it for you. But the first executive order was called ushering in the next frontier of quantum innovation, right here. So that's the name of the first one. And the second one is called securing the nation against advanced cryptographic attacks. Those are the two executive orders that were signed yesterday by Donald Trump. Now, together, these executive orders create one of the strongest government-backed pushes for quantum technology that we have seen in years. And unlike many government announcements, these orders actually include specific timelines and objectives, which I love to see. So, looking at the first executive order, what's up, Trump? He's got it right there. He's pointing at you. He's saying is he pointing to the like and subscribe button. That's what he's pointing to right now. But the first executive order focuses on expanding America's quantum capabilities. And one of the biggest headlines is the administration's goal of deploying at least one quantum computer capable of complex scientific research at a Department of Energy facility. And it said that they want this to happen by the year 2028. And I want you to think about this for a moment. The US government, they're no longer talking about quantum computing as some distant, futuristic, super sci fi type of concept. it's being discussed as something that the government is wanting to fund and invest heavily in right now. And whether the timeline that they stated to have the goal that they achieved by the year 2028, as I mentioned, whether the timeline is ultimately achieved remains to be seen. But the message is clear with what's going on with the signing of this executive order. Quick reminder before we continue, if you're enjoying the content and want to connect with the community, check out the first link below for the free InvestQ community. And if you want access to advanced stock research and tools, the second link is a Prophecy 7-day trial for just $7. And last, if you want daily market updates and behind the scenes content, follow me on Instagram using the third link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. And the message they're trying to get out simply is they want commercialization to go faster and they want it to move faster for quantum computing. And the next thing that I want to cover under Section 5 is regarding something investors may be overlooking, and that's regarding quantum sensing. Now, as it does show in this executive order, by the fiscal year September 2028, the Pentagon has been directed to prioritize the deployment of multiple next generation quantum sensors by this time. And these technologies could potentially help military operations navigate even when GPS systems are jammed or unavailable. And that is a major national security application. And it's important due to the fact that many investors only think about quantum computing, but the reality of it is that quantum sensors, along with networking technologies and cybersecurity applications, may be or may become commercially useful before fully fault-tolerant quantum computers arrive. And another interesting thing that I wanted to cover is regarding NASA's involvement. The executive order directs NASA to develop a strategy-based quantum sensing and network. And this expands the potential opportunity beyond computing and into aerospace and defense. And if quantum technology eventually becomes integrated into future satellite systems, secure communications, and space infrastructure, that opens entirely new markets. And the administration is also printing domestic manufacturing, workforce deployment, and supply chain security. And that's important because the United States clearly wants to reduce dependence on foreign supply chains and maintain leaderships in advanced technologies. This isn't just about building a quantum computer, it's about building an entire quantum ecosystem. Now that we've finished touching up on the first executive order signed by Trump, let's go on to the next one, the second one. Again, securing the nation against advanced cryptographic attacks. So, what I believe could be the most important executive order from an investment perspective is the second executive order it focuses mainly on post-quantum cryptography. And in simple terms, the government wants to prepare for a future where sufficiently powerful quantum computers could potentially threaten existing encryption methods. Now, as a result, the administration accelerated the government's timeline for transitioning to quantum-resistant security systems. Now, one of the biggest changes is that federal agencies are now being pushed to complete their transition to post-quantum cryptography by 2031 instead of what was initially stated to happen in 2025 by the National Security Memorandum 10 when we were still under the Biden administration. That 4-year acceleration is absolutely significant because where governments create hard deadlines, companies need to spend money to comply, and that is where investors should pay attention. This isn't just theoretical research anymore. This potentially creates real demand for cybersecurity products and services designed to meet these new standards. Now, speaking about LAES, why this could matter for SEALSQ, and where I think things get especially interesting, as I mentioned, most investors, they immediately focus on companies like IBM, IonQ, Riggedy, and D-Wave when they hear about quantum computing. And that makes sense because these companies are directly involved in building quantum systems. However, companies like SEALSQ benefit from a different angle because SEALSQ focuses heavily on post-quantum cryptography, secure semiconductors, and quantum-resistant security solutions. If governments, critical infrastructure providers, and enterprises are required to upgrade their security systems over the next several years, that potentially creates a much larger addressable market for companies operating in that niche. And another detail that investors should know about is the previously announced $2 billion quantum initiative. And reports indicate that funding is expected to be distributed among multiple quantum related organizations and companies. Names that have been discussed include IBM, Global Foundries, D-Wave, Riggedy, and others. Whether investors agree with every funding decision or not, the bigger takeaway is that government support for the industry appears to be increasing more rather than decreasing. And overall sentiment from investors is very bullish. In fact, it's pretty hyper bullish. And quantum stocks moved higher following the announcement. On the day today, though, I don't think there's been a crazy surge like SEALSQ right now, it's surged all the way up 10%. Now we're down, we're up again only 2.2%. QBTS, it's like 1 to 2%. Oh no, we're up 4% on QBTS right now. Riggedy, we're down just under point. We're down for a small loss, pretty much break even at a loss of negative 0.07%. And the overall movement in the market for the overall sector is pretty much the same. So the bigger picture regarding this is when we take a step back for a moment, I think that this story is bigger than just quantum computing. This is really about national security. It's also about technological leadership. It's about cybersecurity, and it's about making sure that the United States remains at the forefront of the next generation of the computing technology. Whether you're talking about AI, semiconductors, space technology, cybersecurity, or quantum computing, the common theme is that these technologies are increasingly being viewed as strategic national assets. And my personal takeaway is that these executive orders strengthen the long term bull case for the quantum sector. Now, that does not mean that every quantum stock automatically becomes a good investment. These companies still need to execute, they still need to grow revenue, they still need to improve margins, and many are still highly speculative. But from an industry perspective, it's difficult to ignore what just happened, and the federal government has essentially told investors that quantum computing, quantum cybersecurity, quantum sensing, and related technologies are strategic priorities for the future. And while most of the headlines today are focused on the larger companies, I'll be paying very close attention to how these developments impact smaller names like LAES and other companies positioned around post-quantum security infrastructure, because sometimes the biggest winners aren't always the companies getting the most attention today. So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below what it is you think about the two executive orders that were signed yesterday by Trump. And also let me know what you think about quantum computing. And feel free to let me know also what it is you want me to cover in future upcoming videos, as I love doing the content that you want to see. And feel free to hit the like and subscribe button if you felt I have added any value to your investing journey. But with that being said, guys, stay safe, keep making good decisions with your long-term portfolios, and I'll see you all in the next video.